Greetings from my tub. I'm in here getting 5% cash back when I pay in full with PayPal. No fees, no interest. Make the most of your money this holiday with PayPal. Save the offer in the app.
Ends 12/31. See paypal.com/promo terms. Points can be redeemed for cash and more. Paying for subject to terms and approval. PayPal link and MLS 910457.
Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Vredestein tires. Go to TireRack.com to see their Vredestein test results, tire ratings, and reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, folks. This is the More Money Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. By the way, I want to remind you that if you want to get the Unleash Prosperity hotline every morning, just go to unleashprosperity.com and sign up. It is absolutely free. And by the way, one of the editors of Unleash Prosperity is one of my next guests, and that is John Fund. You know John Fund from his many, many years at the Wall Street Journal. He also works with me at Unleash Prosperity. He also is a columnist with National Review. So, John, thanks for joining. And then we have Adele Malpass, who's been a longtime friend, one of the smartest people I know about politics. She is the editor of Daily Caller, and they run my column every week. So, Adele and John, thanks for joining. Let's get right into it. We got a lot to cover. I'm going to start with the shutdown, and Adele, I will start with you. This has turned into a kind of political football. Nobody can kind of understand why this is I've been completely wrong. I didn't think it would take more than a month to get this thing settled. Where do you see things standing right now, Adele?
I think, Steve, thanks for having me. And I think I am also stunned at how long the shutdown has taken. I think now that the president is back in Washington and you can already see a little more focused on this, I think there could be an end to this maybe next week. They've had 13 votes. There have been 5 Democrats who've not all at once, but at various times crossed over and voted with the Republicans. I really think they should focus on the 3 Democrats, one from Minnesota, Michigan, and New Hampshire, who've all announced they're retiring. They could cross party lines pretty easily without consequence. So I do think there could be some, they need to figure out how to get the votes and, just get on with this.
So, Adele, before I turn to John Fund, what are they fighting for? I mean, a lot of Americans are scratching their head. I mean, is this really about, providing free health care for illegal immigrants and not having any budget cuts? I mean, what is at stake here?
The agenda is very thin, and that you had this week the government employees union saying we don't understand it and we want it to end. And I thought that was a very big pivotal moment. They did take a vote after that, and it's still, they still voted to keep the shutdown going. It's thin on agenda. It doesn't seem to be swaying voters one way or the other, and it seems kind of like the pointless shutdown. So I think it could end, but, when you're not fighting about ideas or voters or issues, it's kind of like, I don't know.
It's all politics. It's all politics, isn't it? I mean, it's just
it's a Jerry Seinfeld moment of a nothing shutdown.
Exactly. Okay, John Fund. So you have been covering this, and I've been on flights this week. 3 of my flights were delayed because of the shutdown, and a lot of the air traffic controllers aren't getting paid, so they're not showing up. This is starting to cause a lot of mayhem and havoc.
Well, I did predict the shutdown would last this long for 2 reasons. One, the major motivation for this is to satisfy demands from the Democratic base that Democrats in Congress fight Trump by any means necessary. And if they had given up before the midterm elections next Tuesday in New Jersey and Virginia and New York, that would have depressed Democratic turnout. Democrats would have been very morose that their party had given up. So I predict the earliest this is going to end is next Wednesday or Thursday. Wow. Now, at the same time, I recalled that the last shutdown we had in 2019 lasted 35 days. What happened on the 35th day? There were 10,000 delayed flights, like the one that you were on, and there was a shutdown of LaGuardia Airport because the flights controllers weren't showing up in sufficient numbers. Well, what happened this weekend? We are having 10,000 delays a day, and LaGuardia was shut down last night because 2 United Airlines flights actually hit each other. No one was killed. It was just clipping a wing, but that stopped the airport for a while.
That's
we are going to see critical mass in the next few days, because how did the shutdown end in 2019? The day that there were massive delays all over the Northeast corridor and flights weren't taking off, that day Congress voted to end the shutdown, and the president signed it that night.
So you really think this is just the Democrats playing to their left-wing base and going after Trump because they hate Trump? But it seems like the whole, what they're fighting over is so small. I mean, to me, it's important Republicans not cave in on the budget because, my God, we're running a $2 trillion deficit. They've got some weeny little cuts in the budget, and the Democrats are saying no to that.
Well, the Democrats actually put into place these so-called budget cuts. These are COVID-era subsidies for people earning up to 400% of poverty, and they were designed to expire after 3 years. They were clearly tied to COVID. The Democrats controlled the Senate, the House, and the White House when they passed this, so it was clearly intentional. It was not part of a compromise with Republicans at the time. So they just picked that as the excuse. They thought it would be the most vulnerable population. They could get angry. But in reality, it is all about placating their base because they're worried about primaries early next year from the left. And if you don't believe that left-wing candidates can beat moderate Democrats, I give you the case of Mondami in New York, who beat Andrew Cuomo. They are terrified of that happening to them.
I got to agree with John on quite a few of this, which is I think we know that Chuck Schumer has gone forward with this mostly because AOC has threatened a Democratic primary of Chuck Schumer, and he caved on a previous CR, and they skewered him for it, and he made a commitment that he wouldn't cave on the next one, and here we are where he won't cave, and you don't understand the issues involved. I also think they are trying to play a Virginia strategy here of keeping, all the federal workers at home. They can all it's very easy to do early voting when you are when you're furloughed. And so they are talking about a much higher turnout in places like Fairfax and Arlington County, where there's a lot of government employees who can go and vote, and they're mad and they don't like Trump. And so there is a Virginia factor here. And so when we get the results, if it's a split vote where the Democrat wins the governor's race and the Republican wins maybe the attorney general spot, it will, I think it's what John said, that will be a message that this didn't really work, and they will, could potentially vote later in the week once they see the election results of Mandami and New Jersey and Virginia.
So I saw some polling on, who do people blame on for the shutdown, and not surprisingly, Republicans blame the Democrats, voters, do, and the, Republican voters blame the Democrats. But I thought what was interesting, Adele and John, and Adele, why don't you go first on this, and John, you chime in, that it looks to me like, a pretty good majority of independent voters, and those are the people who tend to, decide the outcome of elections, they believe the Democrats are at fault here.
I don't think they have made a very strong case. On either the issues of why this is dire, why they're doing it, and that's what you're seeing in the polls. And so I think there is a shutdown fatigue. I think the president hasn't engaged very much on it because he's been off on a foreign trip. And I think we'll start to see more Truth Social and more trips to the White House and things like that to get this behind them. But he doesn't look at all poised to, quote, give in on various issues because the polls are indicating they're blaming. I think they're blaming the Democrats. So
John, you say you think this will go on maybe for another week or so, but the problem, it seems to me, John, for the Democrats right now, because I think Adele is right that, they're catering to their left-wing base, but that's not where America is. And the problem is for Democrats, they keep moving further and further to the left.
Well, yes, and that's probably going to explain Mamdani's victory in New York City, because urban centers and blue states are, in a different universe than the rest of the country. Mm-hmm. And it takes an awful lot for Democrats to wake up and realize that they're not going to have this national success if they're just using New York models and Chicago models and Los Angeles models. What works in those cities does not work in the rest of the country. I would add, though, that President Trump is always in danger of making one fatal miscalculation. He came back from Asia, and he said the Republicans should kill the filibuster and just pass a bill opening the government. That would be a complete and total mistake. The filibuster is what keeps us, when Democrats run the White House, the House, and the Senate, from basically turning this country into Europe. And I believe that, Donald Trump has lots of good ideas. That's not one of them.
But sometimes he has some really bad ideas too. And I say that as someone, we just have about a minute and a half left. John, I'll start with you. New Jersey governor's race and New York mayor's race, who's going to win?
I think that the opposition to Mamdani in New York is still divided, and a divided House does not win in the end. In New Jersey, the Republicans, I think, have a 50-50 chance of winning the governorship.
50-50.
But absentee voting and mail-in voting in New Jersey is notoriously prone to manipulation and voter fraud, so I think that's a wild card there. In Virginia, I think Republicans, I agree with Adele, will keep the Attorney General's seat, but I think Winsome Sears, the Republican candidate, is going to come just short of winning, and that's probably because of the federal workers who dominate Northern Virginia and have changed the state from a red state to a blue state over the last 30 years with the growth of government.
So, Adele, we just have 1 minute left, but you live in the Washington, D.C. I'm talking to Adele Malpass, who is with the Daily Caller. And, Adele, I watched last night, I was watching, one of the football games, and, this ad by the Democrats came on against Winsome Sears, and they made her look like a crazy woman, and then they show this cute little blonde woman who's the Democrat, and really it almost looked like the Willie Horton ad. And I can't imagine if Republicans ran an ad like that, they would be accused of racist. But it seems to me, because Winsome Sears is black, the Republican, they don't always play by the rules that they assign for the rest of us.
They are looking a little desperate sometimes in both Virginia and New Jersey, because they have, both the candidate in New Jersey and Virginia have kind of the same look in a way. And they do run, they have tried to make Winsome Sears to be the scariest, Republican on the face of the planet. And they've done a lot of advertising that way. And, and her negatives are very high. So, and they've maybe been slightly effective. But, I think, in Virginia, if there could be, if the Democrat wins the governor's race and the Republican wins the AG race, Virginia will be then kind of declared almost a purple state. It's still unclear. Realignments, you have to look at a few elections to see if it's a realignment. And Virginia sometimes looks a little purple, and you can't tell if Glenn Youngkin is a one-off or if it's a trend. And so we'll look for Tuesday to see any kind of sign of life for the Republicans in Virginia. You could kind of see it maybe in 28 being in play. Same with New Jersey. I mean, it has, I think, it's going to disappoint and be, a Democrat victory, because it's just got registration. It's got momentum now. It is. Yeah. It's a blue state, which, last time Citarelli, he came within 3 points, and that was a shock. He's running again. He's run a great campaign he's got a lot of issues on traction. He's got, so, it's as good as it's going to get here on Tuesday for New Jersey. So let's see if it flips, it would be a game changer.
So I just want to remind our listeners that we do not take positions on political races. And so we're just trying to, what I want to urge people to do is get out and vote. If you live in New Jersey or New York or any of the states that have elections on Tuesday, get out and vote. And that is your right and your responsibility as a citizen. But only vote if you're registered to vote, right, John Fund?
Well, Remember the old saying from Chicago, vote early, vote often. We don't want to discourage that behavior.
Well, thanks, guys. That's Adele Malpass from the Daily Caller, John Fund with National Review, with Unleash Prosperity, and you read his stuff everywhere. So thanks for joining. And folks, this is the More Money Show, and we will be right back.
Thanks for listening to More Money with Steve Moore. You can hear More Money with Steve Moore Saturday afternoons at 1. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?